Aloha, friends. Um, so today's topic, your thoughts on karma. I guess I guess I just started thinking. Well, so this all happened because I was doing a reading on somebody, and the message that I got uh, for this person was so and so is helping them uh, with their lesson. So I'll just say I was doing a reading on John, and David was the one that was helping John um, learn a lesson. And so I guess in this story, David, oh, I just forgot who the people were. The second person is the antagonist. Um, and so my question to Spirit was, oh, so they have karma. And the answer was, the karma's with the lesson, not the person. Lessons have no faces. And then that was the end of the message. And it was one of those moments where, you get kind of like blown off your seat a little bit, or, you get taken aback because you weren't expecting, maybe not expecting, but that wasn't the answer that, um, well, I guess you were expecting. Um, the fact of, or the part about the karmas with the lesson and not with the person. um I guess that's the part that really struck me, um and caused me to pause and dive down the rabbit hole. And so then I started thinking about, like, well, later I started thinking about, karma. And um I always known it to be one thing, or one way. And I think everybody has a little bit of a different definition about karma. And because I don't like to think about karma as like debt, like I owe you this, or you wronged me, so I have to wrong you to be even. Like, it's not about being even or repaying a debt or anything like that. I guess, yeah, it's interesting because there's so many, like, karma's a big word that or I apply many different definitions to. Um, and so when I heard the message, um, that the karma lies with, um, the lesson. So basically, the first person has a lesson to learn, and that's the karma, is to learn the lesson. Um, and it's not with the antagonist, or whoever the antagonist is. And it almost, like, I mean, it does make sense to me, like, after I thought about it, because, we have a contract, and we have, like, soul families, people that, are part of, our group, and we move through life, coming in and out of other people's lives for different reasons. Even the people that are constantly in our life, they play different roles at different times. And sometimes that role is the antagonist. And sometimes there is that opportunity to learn a lesson or to gain understanding um, about something. But we I think we look outward way too much. Or I'll just say me. I think in the past, well, I don't want to say imply that I'm perfect, but you know, the tendency is to look outward, like it's that person's fault or um whatever. It's always lying outside of us when it really is inside of us, and whatever it is lies within. Um and the other person is just the shower. And it's not to like diminish, like, so if something really bad happened to you, to excuse the other person. Yeah, I guess like we have laws and rules and customs and stuff like that that we adhere to for specific reasons. I get that, but we sign up for experiences, good or bad. Um, and I'm starting to like not even um acknowledge the I don't know, acknowledge is not the right word, but to me, like, good and bad is indifferent. It doesn't mean it like what it used to mean before. Like, experience things are just things, because it's up to us to place the definition of good or bad, and that line is not a solid line or a black and white line. It's it's like water, it's flowing. The needle moves, or the goalpost moves, or you know you could say something is good, and then in the next instance you could say it's bad. So I don't know. I've noticed that I've been shying away from good and bad as like a definition, only because it's dependent on you and where you're at in that moment. Um, but you know, as I was thinking about this topic, it started to get me to think also in the terms of just spirituality. Like, there's so many definitions and rules, and there's structure, and there's all these things. Um, so I guess maybe I should backtrack a little bit. Going down the rabbit hole is tough sometimes. When I was with karma, I'll try to weave back into this where my train of thought was going. But when I was thinking about karma and the many definitions that I've applied, and people do apply to it, um, I was thinking, like, does like the definition of karma, does it evolve over time, like with us? Like, everything's constantly moving, so does the definition of things move? Does it evolve with us, or is it like uh a stationary thing, something that's like firm and it never changes? Or does it change with us? Like, I know, like, over time my definition has changed, but has the definition of karma changed to also include um the message that I got, that karma lies within the lesson, not the person, the other person. um so then I started thinking about spirituality, because it also seems like there's hard fast rules, or it has to be one way, even though I know people will say, no, it doesn't have to be one way, but it kind of is one way. The way that everybody talks about things is one way. Um, so I was thinking, like, does spirituality evolve with us? Not our spirituality, but spirituality in general. Um, which made me just think like maybe I am spirituality and not the other way around. Maybe I'm doing that whole looking outside of myself again. But um, to complete the thought, I was thinking, like, is spirituality like religion? Has it been corrupted to in the same way that religion was has been corrupted um, to um, to get control or to maintain control? Have like the definitions changed over time so that the ones imposing the rules maintain control? Like, are we have we veered far off um the path that it once was with spirituality, like it has with religion? um well, that's just in my opinion. I know, like, there's people that are study religion and practice religion, whether it's like Christianity, Catholicism, or Muslim, whatever. Well, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but whatever your religious choices. But I think it's become evident that there's some forms of control, um, and we're all supposed to be. Well, I don't want to go down that road. Um, because then we'll veer off. But yeah, I guess um I guess the question is karma, um and spirituality. Those are the two questions, I guess. Like, does it evolve with us, or has it or does it, like, is it a fixed thing where the definitions never change, or it doesn't evolve? Um yeah, I probably have just answered my own question, in the fact that um, I'm looking outside instead of inside, and it's whatever. Um, I don't know. I catch myself in moments of being like very rigid and having to have like definitions so that I can um, put it in a box. Like, it is this, when probably things shouldn't be placed in a box at all. Um, and I shouldn't be so rigid because it would imply that uh, everything is something, whatever it was in that moment where I placed the definition. I think I've noticed that with like myself, with people, um, where something happened. Well, like, for instance, you meet somebody and you're like, "Oh, that person was so mean, and they're a mean person because they didn't like acknowledge me, or they made a comment that was rude or off-putting." And so you say like, "Oh, John's a rude person," but then I think like deep down that maybe in that moment John was a rude person. Maybe John was having a bad day. Maybe you took it wrong. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding, But then moving forward, I always think that John is a rude person because in that one moment, John showed me a light that I did not like or did not want to have. And I think that's a mistake that you know I'll just speak for myself that I make of situations because I don't think it's necessarily to specific to people. Um yeah, so I don't think I guess that's why I don't like to maybe when I'm in a different space, when I'm more like the person that I want to be, maybe higher frequency, higher vibration, more spiritual or whatever. When I'm the person that I want to be, I don't want to, um, you know, hold people back. I guess that's what it is. It's to imply like, oh, because Johnny was rude to me 5 years ago, he's a rude person. Like maybe he was a rude person in that moment, or maybe in general he's always a jerk. But then that's to imply that also that Johnny's still a jerk or Johnny can't change. But what if Johnny did change? Then that would be bad on my part to hold him to something that, you know, was 5 years ago, but maybe Johnny overcame some things or whatever, evolved, and to not I don't want to say allow that person because it's not me allowing them to change or evolve, but to not like acknowledge that. I think that that would be a bad thing, a really bad thing, an unfortunate thing, to hold somebody back from bettering themselves. This is way off the topic of karma and spirituality, but this is what it's like in my world going down rabbit holes. We veer off. We take left turns when we're trying to go straight. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, about karma, spirituality. Is it a fixed thing or is it something that has evolved over time or is just evolving with us like as the individual. Yeah, I'll stop right there. Too many left turns today. But thank you for listening and I'll see you on the next one.